Our friends, it is your friend in flowers, Lisa Mason Ziegler, and I'm so happy to be here with you guys today. How about it? What do you think? Is that gorgeous or what? How pretty is that? Y'all, that is what fall harvest can be like. You know, how would that be to have a fall display at a farmer's market, or if you have a farm stand? Just so much fun, simple stuff, y'all. And it's just a really fun time of the year. I mean, how great is it to cut flowers and not be 100 degrees outside, right? So friends, if we've never met before, I am Lisa of thegardenersworkshop.com. I'm the head bottle washer here. Founded my little city flower farm back in 1998. Started selling and growing kind of like out of the gate, was a huge success. Started teaching, then started writing books and making courses and selling and equipping people not only with the resources and support, but also equipping them with tools, seeds, and supplies. And we call home base thegardenersworkshop.com. We have so much stuff over there for y'all. And I want to tell you about two things you do not want to miss out on. One of them is a free live masterclass that's happening this Friday night. And it's where to sell your cut flowers. I'm going to be walking us through 14 of the different industries of different ways you can sell your flowers. And I'll be blowing up some myths that people are so confused about with flower farming. Sorry, y'all have to look at my notes. And also, I'll be talking about my exclusive members only market that was a huge, we ran that for 20 years here. And so this is a free live masterclass that you have to register for. It's free, but you got to get the link. And to do that, you head to thegardenersworkshop.com. It's at the top of every page. If you are in Instagram, you can actually comment sales and we'll DM you the link. But over in TikTok, you definitely need to head to thegardenersworkshop.com. It's at the top of every page, y'all. It's super simple. And I would love for you to be there. It's 8 o'clock on this Friday, and it's a lot of fun. Now, if you're watching the show live, which I know that most of you are, that are in TikTok, because I would love for you to share this with your friends right now. Just let them know that we're live here, and it's Ask a Flower Farmer. So that means you can bring your questions to me, and I will do my best to try to answer them. Over in TikTok, if you just put them in the comments, put a question mark or question at the head, so I'll recognize it as I'm scrolling through, and I'll do my best. In Instagram, y'all just put them down in that little bubble at the bottom of your screen that's got a question mark in it, and that way I don't lose your questions. Whether it is questions about seed starting, flower farming business, harvesting, conditioning, cool flowers, whatever you've got, bring it on, and I will do my best to answer as many as possible. So don't miss out on the free masterclass this Friday night. And again, you will find that over at thegardenersworkshop.com. The other thing that you're going to find over at thegardenersworkshop.com is you can pre-order. This is the cover of my new calendar journal that is coming out the end of November. And friends, I just cannot wait. This includes my seed starting and planting guide for you to create your custom growing for your garden. When you plant, and then when you know when you plant, you can figure out your seed starting. And all of my instructions are on here, y'all. This is the most streamlined, all of my information from my book streamlined into 8 simple steps. There's 9 different planting windows, y'all. And when you pre-order, it's $39.95, y'all. It is quite an opportunity. When you pre-order it, you also get an invite to a free live workshop of me walking you through the instructions of finding your planting windows and if they apply to you. So friends, don't miss out. This is the big calendar journal. and I'll be talking more about the journal part of it as we are rolling out the calendar now. But this literally has been the brain of my flower farm for the past 15 years. And I'm going to walk you through what I do during the winter months to get it all filled out and prepared. And then we just have to do what it says for our seed starting. And that way, like right now, would you be having all of this stuff if you had started the seeds on time? I would say the answer to that would be yes, right? And that's the key, y'all. I don't remember. It's because I look at my big calendar that I have filled out. It is really that simple, y'all. And you know, the best stuff usually is simple. It's just, we just do not even realize it. So head to thegardenersworkshop.com, and I see that we have some questions. So let me start over here on TikTok before it gets too deep. And please, y'all, share this live broadcast with your friends. Would love for you to do that and to give us a follow so you don't miss and you'll get notified when I go live on here. All right. Invite your friends. Do you list specifically what seeds to start at each succession? So, Happy Bath Bar, you can't, yes and no. I give you the equation. You have to plug in your first and last frost dates, and then what your winter lowest temperature is. And I give you the 9 different equations, which is what I'm going to walk you through on the workshop. It is so simple, you're not even going to believe you haven't been doing it. And it's going to walk you through, when is my first succession? You're going to write in some dates. When is my second? Can I plant a third? When is it, if I can? When do I plant? What can I plant in the fall? And then we also include on the calendar, there's a QR code that's going to take you to the seed starting worksheet that has all the information you need to figure out how many weeks before I plant this flower that I want to grow am I supposed to start it. That's going to set you up for seed starting. Y'all, I'm telling you, this is what made me, this calendar, and applying the rules and that I have learned over all these years is what turned me into such a consistent 3-season outdoor flower farmer, honestly. So yes. All right, let's see what we have over here on Instagram. Hello, Kim. Do you recommend your big calendar for home gardeners? I have about 500 square feet and can't do as many successions as growers because my flowers are in our vegetable garden. I'm currently using a small version of an at a glance. So Kim, I would say to you, that it is definitely worth purchasing it once. And then you can decide whether you need one that big or not. And you know, my theory is that whether you have, one bed, a half an acre or an acre, you can succession plant when you split it up. But I would say to you, the guides and the tips on the back, and then each month has additional tips. When did I do that? I did a live inside our shopping app last Wednesday or the Wednesday before, where I kind of went through the calendar. And as soon as I get my first hard copy, we can look at this a little bit more. But I definitely, Kim, I know what an avid, incredible gardener that you are. I think there's benefit for you gaining all that information. And then you may find that you absolutely love having more space to write what you're doing, because you can write so much more. And what I love the most about this calendar journal is the fact, the way that it's organized, or you can organize it, becomes a great garden journal, which is a garden journal for me anyway, was always, I wanted to be able to look back and figure out, what did I think I needed to do, or what did I not want to do again, and find the information, right? So that's what I think. And sorry, y'all, my nose I am like so dead in allergies right now that literally it's killing me. So that's what I think, Kim. What is your first crop to bloom in the spring? For me, usually it's either bachelor buttons or Iceland poppies. And those are fall planted, obviously. Wondered why that didn't come up. I didn't bring it up right. All right, so let's see here. Good, more affordable alternative to T-posts. Yeah, T-posts are expensive, and I wished that 20, 30 years ago, 28 years ago, when I started buying posts, that I had bought like 20 T-posts a year or something like that, because I use, they call them tomato steaks. You don't buy them, you can't go down to the big box store and find good ones. I would typically go to a local lumber yard and ask them to cut. They're 1.5 inch square oak steaks, and you tell them I want tomato steaks. But of course, you may not be able to do that. I bought a pallet of 500 of them. But sometimes you can go to construction suppliers that, you know how you see silk cloth up on construction sites that got the orange stuff that keeps, you know, erosion and trash from blowing. Well, the places that they buy that, they also sell just the steaks. So you'll have to like hunt that up. But that's what I did. They're much less expensive, but they only last about 2 to 3 years at the most. So T-posts are definitely the best, but they are costly, and I agree with you 100% on that. How close together do you plant eucalyptus? My eucalyptus is, let's look at my book. Let me tell y'all something. I don't remember anything that I don't have to remember. Meaning, if I can look it up, but I'm pretty sure that eucalyptus is all of my beds are 30 inches wide. Eucalyptus. How beautiful is that? You see that? Those are the different ones that I grow. And let's see what it says here. Plant 2 rows in a 30 to 36 inch bed, 6 inches apart in the row. So that means I have 2 rows, and in the row, they're 6 inches apart. So everything you need to grow cut flowers is right here in the book. If you're in TikTok, in the TikTok shop, you can find it, and in Instagram, also in my shop there. Of course, you can go to my app and to my big website, and I love signing them. They come with a free bonus when you buy them from us, and it has everything you need to know for grow and cut flowers. Kim, when should I cut my flower and kale? What a great question, because I have to tell you all this. You know what I've discovered? So my kale, she's talking about, there's varieties of ornamental kale that are for cut flowers. They're like this, mine are like this tall right now. And I now know why they're getting so beautifully tall. So they're planted in beds back here in 2 of our demonstration beds. And I haven't really planted anything this late in the season there until I planted this kale. Do you know what I've discovered? Those beds are actually shaded up until about 12 o'clock every day. In the summer, when the sun is up high in the sky, it gets full sun almost after like 8 o'clock in the morning. So because it's low light, they're really stretching tall. You don't want to cut your ornamental kale until it gets its first kind of light frost, and that is because that cold temperature is what makes the kale color up, because it comes, I wished I'd have cut some and brought it in. There's white, rose, and red is what I grow. And once, it's like right now, you can see a little bit of the white or you can see a little bit of the red, but once, and of course, it's like another month before it's fully developed, or not maybe a month, maybe 2 to 3 weeks. And when they gets that cold snap, it just brings the color out. So that's when it's the most beautiful. I would say that I could cut mine right now and use it for beautiful filler. But once it colors up, it takes on that look of almost being a rose when you strip it. So that's the only other thing I need in my display here is some of that kale. That would be absolutely beautiful. And let's see, when pinching and taking cuttings, which plants root easily in your experience? So Brittany, sorry y'all, my nose, I want to just rip my nose off my face. I don't do a lot of cuttings. The only thing, what do I take cuttings of? I take cuttings of Salvia leucanthia and Salvia mexicana. Those are just 2 plants that typically don't start from seed. And so I don't have a lot of experience, but I will tell you this. First off, if there's a plant you're wondering about, you just put it in a search engine. Can you take a cutting and root it? Because some stuff roots faster and better than others, right? But I have found, and I happen to have it right here, I have found, oh no I don't either, that rooting hormone, up here it is, inexpensive rooting hormone, which you can find it on our website and in our app. It's a white powder. It looks just like flour. But you take your cuttings, you wet the cutting, and then you dip it in this dry rooting hormone, and that speeds up the process. Because that's what it's all about, right? Yeah, you can get them to root sometimes without it. But I think this is like $8 and will probably last you for the rest of your gardening life. So you'll find that at thegardenersworkshop.com. So, but I would ask a search engine, but that's all I've also done azuratum. I know people have done snapdragons, but it just really depends on what it is that your point is. You know what I mean? What you're trying to do. When you were selling cut flowers, what was the most profitable outlet for you? Colette asks. All of mine were profitable because I made them profitable, meaning it's all, the profitability is all up to the business owner. It's so funny to people when I talk to people, and now after, how you do, like when you're a mom and you have your 5th kid, it's like, don't even worry about that. You say that to a new mama. That's the way that I feel about business. First off, 100% the business owner operator is in charge of profit, and you control profit. And I can tell you that most people that I come across, because most of them are first-time business owners and aren't very experienced, they overspend, they undermarket, they don't understand that you have to make 100 calls to sell to one person sometimes. And I didn't know that back in the day. It's like I would go make 3 or 4 calls. I can remember specifically going to a new city, and I would call it on florist and getting discouraged. And it's like, no way, man. Until you've called 100 people in a particular market industry, you haven't even tried yet. So to answer your question, people will often say that, oh my gosh, selling wholesale, you just don't make much money. You can tell just how inexperienced they are by that, because they don't understand. Do you have any idea how many less expenses you have related to that? And I did them all. I sold wholesale to florists. I sold to supermarkets, farmers markets, members only market, which is retail, farmers markets, which is retail. And there's money to be made in all of them. And that's exactly what I'm talking about on Friday night in the free live masterclass of where to sell your flowers. This is the kind of stuff we're talking about. It's not like it seems on the surface. You know how it's like whatever your profession might be, it's like you're always saying people just don't get all we have to do or how hard it is. That's how it is for everything. And as far as selling goes and making a profit, it is totally up to the people. But I will tell you in general that novice business owners, whether you're a flower farmer or otherwise, but it's real easy when you're a flower farmer. Has anybody ever gone to the garden center and spent way much more money, bought more plants than you needed? That's what happens. And that's your profit, walking right out the door, right? So to answer that question, I think all avenues can be profitable once you figure out what that looks like for you. New flower gardener, zone 4, any advice? Also, dahlias, would you recommend tubers or buy seed? So Angie, first off, for somebody in zone, so she's in zone 4, which is really north. I'm going to guess Canada, maybe the top of Montana if you're in the United States, maybe Maine. But first off, you would never start dahlias from seed. You just don't have a long enough growing season. I don't care how big you can get it inside. I, in fact, would recommend to you to buy plants, and because that's the quickest growing. Tubering takes time. You have to start, where you are, because you have such a short warm season, right? And before frost comes again. Definitely will. And we are having a special plant offering. We're offering some dahlia plants as well as mum plants, and that's all just rolling out. You can get on the wait list, which just means you'll get more information when it comes over in our app. It's not available on our website. But I would advise you in Zone 4, Cool Season Hardy Annuals, which is my book, Cool Flowers. And also there's 41 cool flowers in the new Cut Flower Handbook. Cool Season Hardy Annuals probably will perform for you all summer long, where the rest of us in the South can't do that. You can certainly grow warm seasons, starting seeds indoors, no direct sowing for you. You do not have that kind of time to waste. Having healthy, nice transplants ready to go into the garden as soon as you're able to. And with Cool Season Hardy Annuals, you can get them in the ground so much earlier. Who are those flowers? We're talking snapdragons, bells of Ireland, poppies, sweet peas, just a vast Sweet William, feverfew, dianthus, which I'm talking about tonight on the live shopping show. So that would be my advice to you, is to really nail down, and also the big calendar, which that's one of the things that, none of us can understand why there's no resource exactly for my area. It's because people in Zone 3 down to Zone 10 have very different, we can all not plant everything, but oftentimes we can plant many of the same things. We just plant them on very different timing. And that's the beauty of the big calendar journal, y'all. Because it's the equation of you putting in your first and last frost and your lowest winter temperature, and then we have the steps for you to follow to get a jumping off point of when can you plant this group, this succession. And that applies to you too, even in Zone 4. All right, so we have all the questions over there. Let's see where we are over here. All right, so anyone that's not familiar with, we have a phone app. It's called Gardener's Workshop Live Shop. And I do live shopping shows multiple times a week in there. And it's really a lot of fun. So tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and the app is free, by the way, y'all. At 8 p.m. Eastern time tonight, I am going to be talking about the family Dianthus. That's Sweet William. It's a very confusing family because there's some Dianthus that are actually perennials. There's some Dianthus that's really biennials. And then there's hardy annual or annual Dianthus. And so I'm going to be showing, I actually have seedlings of these. They haven't been planted out in the garden yet. They're the last thing to go in. I'll be talking about the ones that I grow and why I grow them. And that knowing what to grow is like winning the little battle so you can win the war, y'all. That is really a lot of it. And then planting it at the proper time for your garden. And that is just so blooming key. And I want to give y'all a great example of this. I did not know until probably 5 or 6 years ago, 5 or 6, 7 years ago, that statice, we all know what statice is, right? That's the real pretty fresh flower that dries and holds its color, and it's just, it comes in all different kinds of colors. Well, I wanted to grow that in the biggest kind of way. And every spring I would try to grow it, and it would grow about this tall. It was horrible. And then I hated its guts. I never wanted to grow it again. Well, guess what? It's a cool flower. It's a Cool Season Hardy Annual. And guess when I plant it? It is actually winter hardy for me. So we have fall planted it, and it winters over, and we actually plant it again in very early spring, and we get stems like this tall now. And what's the difference between what I did years ago and what I did now? Strictly, the only difference is when I planted it. And friends, I'm telling you, that is the secret. And that's why the big calendar journal is just going to flip your life, your gardening life on its head. You are just not going to understand how we function so long. That's the way I felt. The more cool flowers that I figure out, Cool Season Hardy Annuals, the more I understand why so many of us just don't get it, right? And so if you're in Instagram, post your questions down in the bubble below. Thank you, Brittany. And you can just put it in there, but I'm going to scroll up and see. Maybe somebody posted a question over here she didn't want me to miss. Here we go. Maggie. Sorry, I'm etching my nose, y'all. It's like we're in week, 6 or 7 of me coughing, itching, and choking to death. And now I'm on all kinds of drugs and I can barely think. Anyway, Maggie, do I need to put irrigation down for my hardy annuals? That is a really great question. So, irrigation, will freeze if you live in a area that goes below 32 degrees. So in general, when we plant in the fall, like Bobo planted all morning, and then we have a hose with a wand, she hand waters all the new plantings. We have irrigation down out there, but we don't run water through that irrigation until spring because there's 2 reasons. Not only will it particularly freeze the fittings, because what happens, it freezes and then it gets bigger as it freezes, and that just cracks your fittings, right? So you do not want to, if you use your irrigation at this time of the year, you need to actually take steps that I've never done because we've just not done it. You have to blow out the lines with air. And that's just a big old pain in the neck. So we have found it much simpler to hand water in the fall. We hand water when we plant in very early spring, which is the window after fall or winter planting. And then we hook it up come spring once freeze is gone. The other problem that can happen if you use irrigation at this time of the year is the creatures, rodents, squirrels, rabbits will actually chew your irrigation to get to water because it's short order this time of the year, right? So you can definitely put it down, make provisions to use it next spring, but we don't put water into it until then because our irrigation is laid when we make beds. So it's all there, ready and waiting, but we don't start using it until the threat of frost has actually passed. All right, so let me see over here. So I again want to say that is perhaps, in my book, the Cut Flower Handbook, I also, all the pages are in here and all the instructions on finding your 3 seasons, how you can do multiple successions planting, right? And I've taken that, streamlined it, and that is what's on the big calendar journal. It doesn't have all the other information that's in here, but it has what you need. Can't wait till I have my hard copy to flip these for you guys. But this is like one of the pages. This is the big instruction page, and it includes 9 different planting windows. And the way to count, where to put your numbers and how, and y'all, it's very simple, cut and dry. Literally, if people, and I didn't realize this until a farmer shared this with me 20 years ago. She said it's literally sitting down in the middle of winter, sitting down with a calendar and counting. When you know what you're supposed to count, which is what this tells you, and filling out your calendar. And then I also, in the back of this calendar, include this tip sheet. And it tells you things about how I write on this calendar. Like, for instance, what kind of notes do I put on the Saturday column? And so what that does, and the Thursday and Friday column, what that does, it gives you a place to look back. I bring out 14 years worth of calendars and open them all up in January. This is like a big event for me. I love doing it, y'all. Bringing them all out, looking back at them, and saying, all right, let's look at January. And, just the other day, I found a flower that I had kind of stopped growing. And it's like I grew it many years ago. It didn't do well. And I'm thinking now, you know what? I have learned so much since then. I'm going to try that flower again. That's why this becomes your journal. And you're going to make notes. When did you cut the first whatever flower, the first harvest? It'll be key to you when that farmer's market manager calls you up and says, hey, when do you start having enough flowers in volume to start making mixed bouquets? You can go right to your calendar and you should have that information. And so I kind of give you all of the ways that I use it that can really help you. And so, my friends, Hope to see you tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, inside the Shop app for the Gardener's Workshop. It's free, y'all. Just go to your app store, search Gardener's Workshop, download the Shop app, and meet me at 8 p.m. You can watch replays in there. You can go watch last Wednesday nights where I talk about the calendar, tell the story of how it was born here on my farm, and I have just been nurturing this thing, and it has just become the brain of my flower farm, right? So that's tonight at 8. And then Friday in the app at 12 noon, this Friday, I've already forgotten, I've said it twice and I've already forgotten. We are answering the frequently asked questions, those questions we hear over and over again. We'll have we'll have our fresh flowers. It may be one of the last fresh ones that we have. We'll be talking about all of this stuff. And you know, friends, if you're just joining me, do y'all grow this? This is good old hairy balls. Gumpacarpus physocarpus, eggplant. This is pumpkin on a stick, our peppers. Do you know when to plant that stuff to have it ready for the October and November to seal your season for the year? That's what the calendar is going to do for you. I'm not kidding you, y'all. It's this simple. And so I hope to see you tonight, Friday at 12 noon. And my friends, to march on over to thegardenersworkshop.com to sign up for my free masterclass on where to sell your cut flowers. Find everything at thegardenersworkshop.com, y'all. It's at the top of every page. The masterclass is free. I'm going to be busting myths like, are there too many flower farmers? No. Spoiler. And I'm going to tell you why. And we're going to walk through 14 different ways to sell flowers. It's going to be informative, fun, and enlightening. And I hope it will encourage you to know that there is room for you in this industry. You just have to do it like a professional cut flower farmer, right? All right, my friends, until we meet again, see you tonight. Ciao.